according to the system, we live on YouTube. First time it worked. I played the song a little while so that get people time to tune in and stuff like that.
This is EL's favorite.
Yeah.
Spooky set right below.
I was in the military, and that's what I called myself. I was actually working up there with the generals. Setting up communications was my job.
Okay.
So I think they didn't know who they had up in there. So much stuff.
We've tried to.
Yeah.
We have 3 daughters. I'm not on, right?
Yeah.
No.
But they can't hear you too good over the sound, but we're fine. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bryan Foley. I'm the host of Ear to the Ground 197. And I have with me this morning, Mrs. LaVeda Weathers. Put your microphone up there. Let's see if we can hear you a little bit, Miss Weathers. Say a couple words too.
Good morning.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I seen the needle jump up on the meter, right? Last week I had Sharon on, Sharon Newton, and her voice was kind of soft, and so the microphone didn't pick it up too well.
Right.
And so we good with you. I could hear you. Okay. How you doing this morning, Miss Weathers?
I am well.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So I got Miss LaVeda Weathers here. And if y'all see me moving around and fidgeting, because I have us live on YouTube. So those of you who have friends who've always wanted to come on the show, who are not on Facebook, they can find us on YouTube Live at Ear to the Ground 197. So you can find us on Ear to the Ground 197 Facebook Live. I see you this morning, Gail. And we would like everybody this morning to share, hit like, and type in the comment bar, Y1. Why do I ask them to put Y1 in there, Miss Weathers? Because I believe in Ypsilanti first.
Okay.
So that stimulates the algorithm, okay? Ypsilanti first, share and like. That stimulates the algorithm, gets more people to tune in, okay? You know, when I was talking this morning, and we have some very special pioneers in the studio this month as we celebrate Women's History Month. And you know, I was listening this morning, all of a sudden this song jumped in my spirit. And what it said was, James Brown said, "It's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl." It wouldn't be nothing.
Right.
And you know, I was talking to Gail, and I had to get honest with her this morning, you know, because as I talked with you the other day, and I asked you, I said, and I told you, I said, LaVeda, you're gonna have to stop talking. And the reason why I asked you to stop talking, because you were sharing so much information to me that I had never heard before, that I wanted our audience to catch it, and I wanted it to be fresh with me also too.
Okay.
And also the same experience I had with Sharon Newton.
Right.
She was sharing so much history with me. And I told Gail this morning, because Gail always bothered me before the show started anyway. But anyway, I told Gail this morning, I had to accept the fact, you know what? I might have a little bit of male chauvinism in me, because, you know, I'm 60, be 62. And sometime, you know, from that time, grew up in that era, we thought that a woman had to have a certain place and couldn't do, or this, that, and the third. And, you know, and so when I start hearing, I see your lip.
When was that? You weren't even here when they were doing that nonsense.
Yeah, they still doing it. But what I'm saying is, when I heard their compliments and the things that you do and have done, I was like, wow, we got some outstanding women in our community, in our circumference. And that's what inspired me, as I was telling you today, to put that image of Betty Shabazz and Coretta Scott King up there. And so that's why I put that up. But anyway, share a little bit about who is Mrs. Miss, how should I put that on?
I am Mrs.
Miss, okay, you get what I mean? I've been around them other folks, you get what I mean? They, yeah, what I'm saying. That's how I know you are, right? Because in your phone, you have me as your electrician,
Yeah,
right? Tell us a little something about Mrs. Levada Weathers.
Well,
Who are you?
first of all,
Okay,
I am happy to be here talking to you today.
okay.
And I am totally out of my element because usually, even if you see me at a board meeting or somewhere else, before I get up to talk, I've made notes on exactly what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So I'm kind of excited about this.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this year to the ground 197. We don't handle notes on there, right? Yeah,
ain't no telling.
Thank you. That's right. Thank you. That's what we do, right? Okay.
Anyway, I like to tell everybody. First of all, my family came from Detroit to Willow Run.
Okay.
In 1944, and I can remember. Now that I look back, on Clay Hill, that's where we live.
Mm-hmm.
Clay Hill was set up for former servicemen, but Clay Hill was where the Black soldiers' families went,
right,
to Clay Hill in Willow Run. And we were safe there. And the reason we were safe, people talk now about it takes a village. We were the village.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was every mama was the mama. Every daddy was the daddy. And that's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward.
We still call it the village.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too.
They from the village, right? Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. And fast forward, I went to Willow Run schools. I'm really into the kids and their education. Mm-hmm. And it took me years to get there because I didn't even go to school to become a teacher until I was 28. Mm-hmm. I was married and I had 3 children. But teaching changed my life, and I'm still fighting for our kids. And I can remember when I retired thinking, I better keep all my test kits, I better keep my books, because the day is going to come, and I think it's here, where we're going to once again have to teach our own children. And when I say our own children, children that are not only kids that look like me, but impoverished kids, period.
Right.
And we're here because a lot of stuff is happening and nobody's looking out for the kids. What else do you want to know about me? I have 3 children. Okay. I'm married to E.L. Weathers.
My man's.
E.L. was from Ipsy. I'm from Willow Run.
Right.
I'm into this community center thing now because I met E.L. at the community center in Ipsy.
At Park Ridge.
At Park Ridge Community Center.
All right. Because he stayed, let's see, their house was on Orchard Street.
On Orchard.
Okay.
Yeah.
My grandmother was right across the street. You know her as Mrs. Easley.
Yes.
That's my grandmother.
Okay.
And Mrs. Foley, Mrs. Foley, that's my grandmother. While I'm talking about my grandmother, I was always looking for a table so I can put all this junk on here and stuff like this. And this table was in my house. And and I had, how I'm single, so bachelor, so I had stuff stacked up on top of it. And I looked all over. I was on Amazon, went to the stores looking for a table, right? Here was the table right here. The first time I had the table on the show was when I had Sharon on. And because this is my grandmother's table, I call this table the wisdom table.
All right.
Okay. So we got the wisdom coming at the wisdom table. So.
Well, that's another little secret.
Okay.
When I became a grandparent, I started thinking about my grandparents. I'm like, it seemed to me they knew everything. And I know they had read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, so they knew everything. So I'm thinking, what are the grandparents supposed to do? Grandparents are supposed to be smart. I'm like, oops, not equipped, not smart. So a part of my daily prayer is, Lord, give me wisdom. Yes. So we'll see if I come up with something.
Well, I'm sure you do. One of the things that I didn't know was your involvement with the Willow Run NAACP, Willow Ypsilanti, the Ypsilanti Willow Run branch of the NAACP. Right. Share with me that history and that story with our viewers, if you will.
Okay. First of all, I think it was 1954, we had an NAACP out there in Willow Run. And this is what I can remember, because in 1954, this is a secret, I was only 14. But Vance Eddie Hamilton led up a group of people. My mother was one of them. and they took Willow Run Community Schools to court, federal court, because they wanted more Black teachers. Dr. Cheney was our first Black teacher.
The one Cheney School named after?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
She was our first Black teacher, and we had others. I can remember Miss Britt, but and Miss Russell, she was my 9th grade teacher. But in 54, they wanted more Black teachers, and they went to court and they won what was called the memorandum, where it proposed Willow Run schools had to have whatever majority, whatever percentage Black students they had. Say if it was 10%, they also had to have 10% Black staff from the custodians up. And I don't think any other school got that. And so when I went back to Willow Run to teach, this was a part of our contract. So in the year that I was there, 1973, we had a lot of Black staff.
Okay.
And to me, that was good because our kids had somebody to, listen to, respect, and do whatever they had to do. So then I don't know what happened to the NAACP, but once again, we got together. It wasn't just myself. I remember the banks were involved. There's a lot of people involved. And we said, we need another NAACP because in Willow Run schools, once again, we were fighting. Okay. We were fighting for the kids, fighting for the staff. So we formed the Willow Run Ypsilanti branch. And I'm sure I was reluctant. I can't remember, but I was the interim president as we were forming this for 1 year. And then a guy named John Ratcliffe that probably a lot of people out there know, he was our president for a long time. And people talk about these people all over the country that are going to school board meetings, being disruptive and shutting it down. That's not new to us in Willow Run because we used to have school board meetings that lasted 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Till we could get some resolution. Okay, so that was the history of that.
Okay. Now you told me let's see, I try to be decent in order on here to around 197. But right now it's probably only about 3 or 4 active members of the Ypsilanti Willow Run branch in NAACP. Right. And I mean sincerely, I'm trying to be decent.
I've been involved over the times again. Yeah.
And matter of fact, we don't even see meetings or activities that are present. But you told me how many members at one time was present on the Ypsilanti Willow Run. How many did you tell me it was?
In the, what are we talking about? On the board in Willow Run?
How many
on the NAACP? At least 150, 200. And our kids were involved. We used to go up and meet with Flint, and they had a youth department. Our kids were all involved. And we do. And I'm guilty because, like I say, I know the history. And I know how hard Sharon worked with it, Mildred Williams, and we need to do it again. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take your audience to say, we better get back involved because we definitely need it. It is, everyone knows NAACP is the only organization that people like us have that we can go to and say, help us out with this.
Right.
Yeah. And teach us how to be fighters.
Right.
Sharon is out there being a fighter. I'm a fighter. There are others that are fighters because we learned through the NAACP how to be a fighter.
Right. And Sharon told me when she was president one time, they had 800 members at some point. And like I said, but I have to, like what you said about engaging. Mrs. Valerie Brown Tucson, when I made that comment before about how many members was there, and I was bashing the local NAACP branch. I really was. But what she challenged me was to become a member and become active. And the current president reached out to me and the same thing, but I have to be honest, I haven't heard back from him since.
See,
I'm just going to keep that 100. But
but I want you to know, I am a member of the national NAACP.
Right.
And I forgive me, I should be also active locally.
Right.
So we're gonna have to
get into that. So I can't really point no fingers on and stuff like that. But before we go any further, if you don't mind, Mrs. Weathers, I have to acknowledge my sponsors and supporters. Emmanuel Jones of Jones Cleaning Service. His motto is, "We clean it right." That's Jones Cleaning Service, owned by my good friend, Mr. Emmanuel Jones. Also, Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center, owned by my good friend, Kip Johnson and his lovely queen, Athena Johnson, and my main man, Mr. Carlos Franklin, and his wife, Andrea Franklin. And that's Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center, located right across the street from the Ypsilanti Public Library in beautiful downtown Ypsilanti. You know, y'all out there in the village, y'all say that downtown, but y'all say this is downtown Willow Run. But you know, y'all be picking on us, say Ypsilanti is downtown Willow Run. But anyway, that's Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center, located in downtown Ypsilanti, located right across the street from the public library. Also, my number one supporter and sponsor is Tracy's Sweet Touch Production. Tracy's Sweet Touch Production uniquely created gifts for any occasion. You can find Tracy on YouTube at Passionately Intrigued Arts, Instagram at Tracy Sweet Touch Production, TikTok at Established Fabulous, Pinterest, Miss Tracy E. Davis, and you can email her at dallas2dakota@gmail.com. That's like the city, Dallas, the number 2, and like Dakota, north or south, @gmail.com. And you can find her at Facebook at Tracy E. Davis. There's a couple people out here speaking to you, Mrs. Weathers. Karen Harding.
Okay.
Yeah, and Chanel Stitt, they out there in the viewing audience. And they say hello to and good morning to you.
That's
this
my
morning.
little niece, Chanel.
Yeah. Now,
Listen, one more thing.
Go ahead.
Can I do this?
you no, just ma'am.
Something, it seems to me, and a lot of people don't understand, and I'm still back in the school thing.
Okay.
I was co-chair for combining Ypsi and Willow Run. Those that don't like it, don't hate me. I thought it was the best thing to do at the time.
You talking about the school system?
Yes.
You was co-chair for the okay. All right then.
The reason I didn't have a problem being with that, I know, and there are people out there who do understand, we didn't have a high school in Willow Run for years. I think the first graduating class we had was in 57. Okay. So that meant our kids from the village came to Ypsi High. So we're already intermingled with Ypsi, you see? And there's a lot of history from the kids that went to Ypsi High, but we were family all the time. And I thought then, and I still think now, that we're one family. We're only 3 miles. Willow Run is only 3 miles away.
Right.
And the uniqueness about Willow Run was the school was all we had. And so a lot of my fellow Willow Runnians, when they feel like they gave up Willow Run, it sort of took the heart of the community away. And I understand that. Our heart is still palpating over that. And that's why at the last board meeting, I suggested to them that our honors board of people who went to Willow Run schools and have gone on to do great things be combined with Ypsilanti's and showcase so that everybody can see it and everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah, because I know EL, your husband, right? He shared with me that those honors and some of the trophies or all the trophies or whatever from the sports, because we was a class A school and you was a class B school, right? During my time, right? And y'all played schools out there like River Rouge, E-Course, River Rouge, E-Course, Inkster, Dearborn Heights, Dearborn Road.
We used to whoop Inkster's butt.
Yes, and I got a lot of partners out there from Inkster.
Oh, I take that back.
But you know, y'all had a lot of history, and I remember them championship teams and stuff like that. You know, the Bond brothers, just to name
Charles
them.
Jackson.
It's a whole bunch of them. So, and then I forget which class it was. It might have been the class of 79 or 77. I mean, 79 or 80. I can't remember, that won the Class B state championship.
I don't remember the year. But in addition to that, another thing that we grew, Willow Run never played Ypsi.
That's what I'm.
So my kids set up a thing a few years ago where they got that team, a lot of the guys that played, you know, the Bonds and Jacksons and all of them, to play Ypsi. And they had that here. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember. I didn't attend, but I remember it. But So all that history, where is it at?
Oh, no, but I'm sure the superintendent and the board are working previously to pull it out and showcase it.
Because I know that one of the things that kind of burns EL up, that they won't, that is not on display
Right.
at this school here,
Right.
you know, which is the combination of the community.
He is a lot like a lot of people. He is still upset that they took Braves away.
I am too. Let me tell you, I got some Braves memorabilia up there now.
Yeah. And we, you know, I understand it because, like I say, I was the person that's trying to help put it together. But who they're talking about being Willow Run? We were the Flyers.
You were the Flyers.
So right. When you combine, you had to make some adjustments. But becoming a Grizzly wasn't one in the plan.
No, or a Phoenix,
Oh, definitely not a Phoenix.
Yeah, and the Grizzly,
but we grow and we learn, and it's going to be okay. The point is, we're still one family.
Yes, and we are. And one of the issues is that some of the people who took that name, the Braves, as being culturally insensitive, wasn't even the culture that was complaining.
They weren't. They weren't. They weren't even from here.
From here, right?
That's like what they're trying to do now.
Right.
They don't want the Black Lives flag up there. They don't want. They want the kids not to wear the mask. We just dealt with that at the last board meeting, and I'm sure we're going to have to continue to deal with it with future board meetings.
Right.
Those people who are the family, the community, are going to have to come up, step up, and speak up. For what we want, not what somebody from somewhere else comes in here and says.
Yeah, we have. I call it straight up for what it is, the gentrification process. You get what I mean? That's coming in, and a lot of people are forming coalitions and boards and partnering up with people in position of a power and authority, and then they grease their palms, and they actually become the spokesperson of agenda that they don't even have a clue what's going on.
You've hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely right.
Right. And so, but when I haven't, let me be honest, I haven't attended a school board meeting since before the pandemic. Let me be honest about that.
Right.
So I'm not even going to school board meetings when I don't know if they were online or not, right?
Well, now they are on Zoom.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, let me digress.
Go ahead.
At the last meeting, there was a gentleman there bringing up, he didn't want the Black Lives flag out there, and some other people wanted the kids not to wear masks, not understanding that children that are ill or it's a lot of kids with special needs, their lives depend on the rest of those kids wearing masks. But so now they're having them in person and on Zoom. And what happened at the last meeting, a lady was at home watching with her child, and she got off Zoom and rushed into the board meeting to address this man that didn't want the Black Lives flag up. And she happened to be Caucasian and spoke quite eloquently about the need for that flag, you know. Anyway.
Yeah, and like you said, Black Lives Matter encompasses much more than what it evolved, what it evolved from and what it has to. In case in point, like you were just sharing about the wearing the mask, we were engaged actively, and you were also too, making sure that our community received masks, and received the coronavirus test kits, and to make sure that those who wanted to be vaccinated had access to it, right? And there was a lot of people who weren't engaged in that, you know what I mean? And some of our own people weren't fighting for the least amongst us to make sure, because 48197 and 48198 was the hardest hit in this county.
Right.
And this county was one of the hardest hits counties in the state. And Michigan was one of the hardest hit, and at one point was the hardest hit state in the country.
Right.
So when you break that down and see for what it is, 48197, 48198, Ypsilanti Willow Run, parts of Pittsfield Township, places where people who are racially classified as Black, we were the ones who were hardest hit the most, but also we were some of the people, the last one for the cavalry to arrive in the third richest county in
What
the state.
happens, I think, is, okay, this is one other thing about me. This is how I see things. I complain to my family and to Gail. How did I get into this? I always have to do something. But my thing is, if not me, then who?
Right.
So sometimes our community doesn't know how to fight.
Yes.
Or where to go. Or they feel like, well, nobody's going to listen. Well, I say to my community, even if you have to scream it to the moon, scream it anyway.
Yes.
Somebody's going to hear it. And as far as our not having the shots and everything, I was one of those people in the beginning. I'm like, I'm not getting that shot. I'm not getting that shot.
Me also.
And, you know, they say the elderly people, and since I'm 81, actually I'm 18.
I understand.
We were at the top of the list that should get it. I'm Black. They say I have high blood pressure. Then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, how come nobody has contacted me to get the vaccine? And then when I realized they weren't contacting me, I'm like, if they're not contacting me, then they're not contacting people that look like me on the South Side, out in Willow Run. So next thing I know, I found myself on a Zoom with the Lieutenant Governor, Mr. Deal, and a whole bunch of other people, Nosy Levada, saying,
I understand.
What's up with this? How come there aren't billboards, flyers to the people, all of this? And so let's get something going. I was not the only one. Reverend Davis out in Willow Run and some of the other Black ministers were working on it. But sometimes our people just don't know where to go and where to argue and how to find out. Another reason I had decided I wasn't going to take the vaccine is my thing was, I'm not letting them put a germ in me to fight off the germ. But thank goodness I have daughters that do research, and they explained to me they weren't putting the germ in, they were putting a blocker in. Once I knew that, it was on and popping. And whatever is good for me, I feel is good for my family, which is Willow Run, because I think I am Miss Willow Run, and Ypsilanti.
Right, I understand. You
so
are.
There it is.
You be hard pressed for somebody to come up and say you ain't. You get what I mean?
They better not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into where you can get information from, but before I do, right? I was also one. I'm not getting no vaccination. I wasn't getting one. Right, that's what I said. But a lady who is from Clay Hill, right?
Yeah.
Miss Minnie Hughes.
Okay. Oh, Miss Hughes.
Miss Hughes.
Okay.
That's my other mother. You know what I mean? You know, how we got that other mother.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
I told you, Clay Hill, everybody was mom.
So right, exactly. So Minnie Hughes, Mrs. Hughes, I never
ain't never
said Minnie, right? So you know, just like Mrs. Hughes called me on the phone and she said, son, have you had your vaccination yet? No, ma'am. Well, you gonna get one. I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. She said, listen, you're gonna get a vaccination. You hear me? Yes, ma'am. She said, do you remember when you got those shots in school? Yes, ma'am. She says, well, you didn't have a choice then, and you don't have no choice now.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So you go get a vaccination. And she said, and don't just be telling me you getting one. Do you hear me, son? Yes, ma'am. Now, that's why I got the vaccination, because I listened to the wisdom of an elder.
Yeah.
And some people say, man, you got free will to make up your own mind, stuff like that. Sometimes we have to take the suggestion of the wisdom of the elders first and figure it out later on.
Right.
Because when I got it, then I began to do just what you said. I did some research on it and got from out of the spookism of it. You get what I mean? And, and I didn't know.
Right.
But I also did it too, because I have daily interaction with my mother and my father. Exactly. I live right across the street from them, so I'm over their house at least twice a day. But your mother and my mother and you know each other. Yeah. And you had history, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From back
when
in the
we
day.
were young, we met.
Right.
We met through Marie.
Yeah.
Marie Bowe that went to school with her.
Okay. Yeah. And I had confused it, and I said, well, I thought you was from E-Course, and Gail straightened me out.
And I thought you were Mary Louise Foley's son. And I immediately decided that's why he's so active.
Yeah.
You know, because Mary was active.
She's actually still active.
Yeah,
she is, right. That's my cousin, Mary Louise Foley. But you're talking about information. So we was talking about the name Gail, right? We're talking about Gail Summerhill, but she's just the kind of like, you know, Gail's pushing. You know what she's doing. But Gail, myself, Margaret, Jan, and Trisha Duckworth, we're the founding members of an organization that's called Ipsy Can I Share?
Yes.
Right. Now, this is a bulletin board or board. I'm gonna hold this up right here just a little bit, right? And Trudy Hughes of the League of Women Voters made this empowerment card, and it was made before. So up there at the top left, you have City of Ypsilanti. Bottom, you have Ypsilanti Township. Top right, Superior Township. Bottom right, Pittsfield Township. And what you say is, have you tried to get help with DHS, HHS, crime/violence, healthcare, utilities, affordable housing, but get nowhere? What can you do? Call your elected officials. Helping you is their job. They work for you, right? And a lot of our elected officials and people think that we work for our elected officials. You understand what I'm saying? And they come and dictate to us policy on what they're going to do and what they think is best for us, right? I was playing my theme song earlier, right? It's called Power to the People, right? And when you look at the word democracy, right? It's a Greek word, and the prefix of the word demo is people, and then the ocracy, which comes from the Greek word protos or protos, which means power. So democracy actually means power of the people. So, and that's why I say all power to the people, because we got to get our people to understand that these folks work for us.
Exactly.
They do our bidding and do our will. You don't get elected into a position and then come back and tell us what we gonna do and what we expect y'all to do. And this is what I can, and this is what I, shut up, man.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? You work for us. We put you in power to be our voice, not for you to come back and tell us what them folks, the best that they can do. And this is what I got. No, you go up there and tell them folks, this is what we want. And we don't care if they don't want or not. You go tell them what we want. And if we don't get it, then the people with the power will come up there and address them folks. That is, you do what we say, do.
Okay, I don't want to call y'all out by name, but did you hear that? I tell you that all the time. When you call, I'm running for office, I'm talking to you. You all work for us.
Maybe they tuned in.
Oh, they know.
They know, right? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And some kind of way we got that. So, but anyway, we created these empowerment cards, right? And each one of these cards representative of one of the ones on the larger scale up there. Yeah. And so what we have on here is the City Hall, Mayor of City of Ypsilanti, Lois Allen Richardson, Township Supervisor out in Superior Township, Kenneth Schwartz, Township Supervisor Mandy Groel out in Pittsfield Township, and then finally Township Supervisor Brenda Stumple. And then it has a list of the treasurers, clerks, trustees, what district, county commissioner you is, state legislature, senator, all the way up to the Congress on this card. And so these empowerment cards we hand out to people, so you know, go ahead, yeah. So you know.
Can I say something?
Yes, you know what, ma'am.
These, like everybody needs one of these. You know how you stick stuff up on the refrigerator because you need it for when you need to call people. But these things cost money. Okay. And I know you mentioned some sponsors before. I don't know who produces this.
League of Women's Voters put those together for us, right?
Okay. But I was just thinking, it's almost time for you all to do your income tax. And the only time we cry about the income tax is like, oh Lord, all this money I gotta pay. But I think probably some of these organizations like this, they can go on your income tax as a donation. And instead of finding a simple place on the television to send your money to, maybe we need to help out with getting some of these things printed.
All right. So y'all, you heard Mrs. Levada Weathers. Okay.
I was just thinking. You said we just talking.
Right, me and you talking. These folks just happen to be in on our conversation.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? They just happen to get what I mean. This ain't one of them talk shows where people call in and tell us what to talk about.
Right.
Sometimes they have some questions in there.
Yeah.
But this Ear to the Ground 197, I run this here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the executive producer, the janitor, and do all that kind of stuff.
That's good.
I have one person that I have to answer to, and that's the owner of the building. And he asked me to do 3 things. He said, don't personally attack an individual.
Right.
Don't get out here and get the dog and people out.
Right.
Number 2, no child pornography whatsoever.
Okay.
Or stuff like that. And number 3,
then you're good.
Yeah. And number 3, respect my building. Okay. Those are the only 3 guidelines that I got on this show. Okay. Sometimes I get the cussing on here and all this kind of too. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but they just happen to be in on our conversation is what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted everybody to know that because I'm going to be begging for lots of those because I think they ought to be at the churches so people can pick one up. They ought to be in a lot of places, but I know it costs money.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of being at the churches, right? Our churches need to get involved more politically and active, engaged. I talked to one pastor, and they always talk about the 501c3 because they take charitable handouts from the government. Then they aren't able to be politically engaged and active because they might lose that nonprofit status, and then they have to pay some taxes. But one thing about 501c3 church, before LBJ came into office and churches be able to be nonprofit organizations, there always was a nonprofit organization because there was always a separation of church and state.
Exactly.
Okay, exactly. So that don't fly with me.
Yeah.
Tell that to somebody else who don't understand constitutional law.
What's that guy's name that was on TV? And all this came up. Oh, I can't think of his name. He and his wife were on TV and they found out that they had air conditioning in the doghouse. So that's when that came up. But these ladies on your poster here,
right,
their husbands were involved. They were from churches.
Right.
Okay. The church has always been our place where we could talk about what we needed and get some help. And the church has always been that core that was in the front of us doing what we had to do. Our churches need to stop sitting behind, oh, well, the government will do this. Because if you're taking care of the people and you're teaching the people, we'll take care of the church.
Exactly. And one of the reasons why our churches are not as strong as they used to be is because the family is not as strong as they used to be. And one of the reasons why the family is not as strong as it used to be is because the school system is not as strong as it used to be. So all 3 of those things go hand in hand. And because we begin to adopt some ideologies and some beliefs and some cultures that are not of our own, because we're afraid to speak up about people who are bringing intentional harm to our community for the benefit of their own, because we don't study and we don't read what the agenda is hidden behind. All money ain't good money. Right. And we have folks coming in with a big bag of money, right? And our folks, we need some money. And because some folks got a voice.
We get thousands. And they get billions off the little thousands. And, all we know about $1 billion is what we heard about the billion.
Right. Like I tell them all the time, straight up and down, y'all got to feed y'all local representatives, and I don't mean that in the sense of representative, but who represents whatever community that they're speaking for, be it city council, mayor, representative, county commissioner, whatever. Y'all got to feed them, make sure they full before they go out to these big dinners with these white folks. Because once they sit down to the seafood, crab leg, steak, all you can eat dinner, right? They subject to sign anything.
Exactly.
So you make sure you got to, before they go. And that's the importance of having what I was talking about, a democracy, power of the people, because therefore you go up there, when you go sit with them folks, you go see you go tell them folks what we want. You don't come back there after you done ate everything up there and then bring us back a doggy bag. Right. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So
this is all good.
well, this is Ear to the Ground one.
You know what?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Nowadays, everything is like YouTube and what is it, TikTok and all of that. And that's good. That's good. In the olden days, that's why we had the community center. See, another thing that's trapping us right now is this being shut down because of COVID.
Yes.
We need more opportunities to just have table talks with each other, to sit and talk to each other. Even if the ministers need to sit and talk with each other, or have places, the community center, where the kids and the older people can sit and talk to each other. This is what we need.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Because it's a lot of people out there that are thinking and want to be involved, and they don't know how. So.
Well, we have some organizations, and there's a group of men from all walks of life, political, administration, government, what have you, who have, and I was sharing with you a group that I'm a member of, Supreme Fellows Incorporated, brothers and a sister who actually know that life,
right?
Who come together to sit at the table, just what you're saying, to have a conversation and find out what is needed in our community, and how those of us who are in the positions of responsibility and authority, decision makers and shot callers, be it in elected or be it simply in the streets.
Let me ask you a question.
Education.
How do you get to sit down, say, with our boys at the high school?
Let me share with how we sit down with them.
Okay.
There's two, Anthony Williamson, Park Ridge Community Center.
Okay.
Sharisa Allen, Labisa Brown.
Okay.
I see you know them folks,
Yeah.
all right? They actually have programming. There's another one, I don't want to leave her name out, Kalista Walker, Our Community Reads. They start out right there at the community center, and they reach out and they engage the children in our community that way. My organization, Supreme Fellows Incorporated, actually going to the schools.
Okay.
And we talk to those youths who are engaged in gang violence, abuse at home, abusing the home, and what have you. And we've been invited in.
Good.
By the school system.
Good.
Because they understand that we understand the trauma that they've experienced, because we've experienced the trauma ourselves, and we're actually perpetrators of trauma. And we understand that, and through our life experience, whatever process we went through, we were able to address those issues, and we're able to best relate to those young men on a cultural level. I have nothing against no teacher who's racially classified as white. I ain't got nothing against that. But you don't have the empathy and experience to understand why that young man or that young woman is disengaged in school and acting out.
In addition to that, like, there are a lot of mothers. My mother was a single parent raising my brother and I. Mothers think they can tell their sons. No, you can't.
Uh-oh.
No, you can't.
I thought this was Women's History Week.
Well, it is.
Okay, well,
I'm telling us how we can be the wise women.
Okay, all right.
Understand that our sons need a man, not,
Testing
a real man.
Testing 1, 2. Do y'all hear Mrs. Levada Weather? I wanted to hear
a real man.
Okay, right.
To talk to our sons.
Right.
Okay. Because there's some things that only a woman can impart with a young lady. Okay. About what our roles are and how we can treat ourselves and how we can take care of ourselves. For instance, this is way off track, but
no, you on there.
My pet peeve is to hear a woman say about her and her man, her husband, we're pregnant. No, we're not.
Right.
You're pregnant.
Okay.
And for the young man, your future is in your seed. Be careful where you lay it.
Watch out now.
That's a whole nother topic.
We'll
have to come back for that.
But you know what? As I said before, I talked to Gail and Gail Summerhill, who actually arranged these things. Because I reached out to Gail. I said, Gail, you know what? I'm going to celebrate Women's History Month, and I'm telling her, but Gail, great for telling people what to do. But I told Gail, get some people. This is your task for the month of March, which is Women's History Month, you find the women that you want to have on the show. And she selected everybody except for one person who I selected. And that's Sharisa Allen, who'll be on next week's show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the only person that I selected, but everything else is what Gail selected on here, because I volunteered told her what to do. But you were saying about coming back again. But because the recording wasn't done properly last week with Sharon Newton,
she's coming back.
And you're coming back, and I'm gonna sit both of y'all at this table, and I'm gonna turn the tape recorder on and move out of the way and let y'all talk to the people.
Sharon, he won't have enough time.
So that's what we're gonna do next. I don't know what damn arrangement, but it's gonna be very
dear.
But
Sharon gotta have her time first.
Sharon gotta have time.
Yeah, her own time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all can't share the,
Yeah. After that, she can have her own time, and then we can.
Okay.
We'll work on it.
You'll work on it. Yeah. Okay. All right. We got a couple more minutes left. I'm not going to take up your time. If you had something, this is Women's History Month. If you had something to impart to our community, Ear to the Ground 197 comes from the phrase "ear to the ground" because the Native Americans and whatever, when the cavalry was tracking them, they would put their ear to the ground. They would put their ear to the ground when they were tracking buffalo.
Right.
They would put their ear to the ground, put it on the railroad, and that's when they knew when the train was coming. That's how ear to the ground came from. A young lady by the name of Cherie Moore came up with that name, because a lot of people like to label me as a community activist. And I tell them all the time, no, I'm not a community activist. And a community activist has a bullhorn and a sign, right? I'm a scout, is what I told you.
Find out what's going on.
Yeah, find out what's going on. So my ears to the ground. The 197 is because of area code 48197. That's how I came up with it, because it sounds a little bit more smooth. Ear to the ground 197 as opposed to ear to the ground 48198.
Right.
Okay. So ear to the ground 197, right? This is our community. And we need to stand up and not be afraid to tell people that this is our home, this is our community, and it's your duty and your responsibility to speak up. When you don't say ouch and somebody stepping on you, they think it's okay because you ain't said nothing. You get what I mean? And we have to speak up. You get what I mean? And that's why our community is being overran and being taken over by people who know what's going on in our community. We see construction, we see building, we see commerce, we see industry coming on, we see technology coming in our community. And I'm gonna tell you why they're able to do the things that I do, because our elected officials have not imparted to the people what's going on around them and to understand, okay? And that's why I don't have no problem speaking up. You get what I'm saying? The city of Ypsilanti's motto is pride, diversity, and heritage. Heritage comes from the root word etymology of inheritance.
Right.
You said you came to Clay Hill, and what Clay Hill was a place for the soldiers returning from World War II to have a place to live.
Right.
You inherited from the blood that they sacrificed in World War II so we could have our own community to live. Same thing with the south side of Ypsilanti. That's what Park Ridge Homes was built for. It was built for us. We inherited that. And if we don't stand up for it and protect our own, we will lose it, and we are losing it because people are silent because they don't know what's going on. So I know that's a lot, but
no, that's good.
If you had something to impart to the viewing and listening audience of Ear to the Ground 197, what would you share to our people in Levada Weather's own words?
I kind of mentioned this before. Look in the mirror and know who you are. First of all, each of us, there is no other Levada.
Right.
Even if I had a twin, it's no other Levada. So there is no other one of us. Don't say somebody else will do it. Somebody else will find out. You do what you can. Everybody can't do the same thing, but do what you can. And locally, what we need is, if you can, Zoom in or go to the city board meeting, the Superior Township board meeting, the Ypsilanti Township board meeting. Just be there as a little spy. See what you can find out. What's going on? Buildings go up. We don't even know what they are. You see people digging out stuff. You don't even know what's being built. Find out what's going on.
Right.
And come back and let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Might be something we want, but it might be something we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can do something. And everybody's responsible because we're the family. Everybody in the family has a role.
Yes, ma'am. You heard it from the queen herself, Mrs. Levada Weathers from out there at Clay Hill, right? I'm her electrician. That's our relationship goes that. Yeah. You know, my sponsor, number one sponsor, Tracy Davis of Tracy Sweet Touch Production. She always makes gifts. Mm-hmm. And she personalizes them for our guests. And she made something for you.
Really?
Let me show you this right here. What she made for you. Check that out right there.
I'm finding out a lot about your sponsors. I didn't even know.
You ain't know nothing about. Let me see. You know who Tracy Davis is? Uh-uh. That's Bud Davis' daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Tracy Davis. I don't know you, Tracy.
Okay.
But I know Tracy Davis.
Yeah, that's Bud Davis' daughter. Bud and Sharon's daughter.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that. Mm-hmm. Look at that. Oh, that is so nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, now I really got to be involved in the local industry. Thank
Let me
you.
show that
Thank
too.
You.
She gonna share it again, but I'm gonna put it up there right there. Let me see if I can get that up there for camera a little bit right there. That's Tracy Sweet Touch Production.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Like I said, that's Tracy Sweet Touch Production. She's the owner of that company. Yeah. She's my sponsor. Tracy Sweet Touch Production, uniquely created gifts for any occasion. You can find her on YouTube at Passionately Intrigued Arts, Instagram at Tracy Sweet Touch Production, TikTok at Estella Fabulous, Pinterest at Miss Tracy E. Davis, and you can email her at DallasToDakota@gmail.com. And you can find her also on Facebook simply under Tracy E. Davis. Also got to thank Carlos and Kip. That's Carlos Franklin and Kip Johnson, Athena Johnson, and Andrea Franklin, owners of Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center. We broadcast live from there 2 weeks ago to celebrate Black History Month from the bookstore. And we're going to start doing that again because there's a lot of culture and there's a lot of history in those books down there at the bookstore. And people need to get back into the books. You know what I mean?
I confess again, I knew nothing about it. I used to go all the way to Detroit.
What?
To the multicultural bookstore years ago.
Shrine of the Black.
That's where I used to go.
Yeah. Well, we have.
That's okay. Everybody will know about it now.
Everybody know about it now. Right. Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center.
Yeah.
Go on down there. It's right down in the end. They have not just books. You get what I mean? They have cultural supplies and stuff like that. They have a lot of stuff. Yeah. That's Carlos Franklin, Kip Johnson, Athena Johnson, and Andrea Franklin, owners of Blackstone Bookstore and Cultural Center. And then finally, Jones Cleaning Service, owned by my good friend Emmanuel Jones, where his motto is, we clean it right. You know, he cleans up a lot of commercial projects and stuff like that, you know, and, sometimes I think of, some of us, we think we done got beyond doing work. You understand what I'm saying? But, it takes me back to Mr. Barfield.
All right. Yeah.
Billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Billionaire.
Cleaning up buildings.
Cleaning up buildings.
Yeah.
Cleaning up buildings. He started up sweeping the floor.
Yeah. And
then started owning the mop, the broom himself. And he became a parts manufacturer for General Motors, stuff like that. He became a billionaire starting out sweeping the floor.
That's right.
And we need to get back down
to the real nitty-gritty.
Yeah, with that, right? So it said, like I said, James Brown said, it's a man's world, but it wouldn't be nothing
without a woman or a girl. Thank you.
With that, Miss Weathers, I'm gonna get with Gail. I'm gonna let Gail, you're gonna have to coordinate Sharon and Levada so they can get together at the wisdom table at one time. And all I'm gonna do is turn on the microphone and move my narrow behind out the way. And that's what I'm gonna do, and let our elders, our queens, talk and share what's going on.
That'll be nice.
It's gonna be very nice. Yeah. And with that, I'm gonna sign out with my theme song, Ear to the Ground 197. And we're out. Gail said she out.